preview for the big match. It's a must-win. We've got to respond like the title says, because that was shocking against Leeds. So we're going to do a quick covering of that Leeds game. Then we'll go into more of the preview of the match, bit of a predicted lineup of who we think should play. There's been a couple of bits of news stories that I've sort of seen as of just before going live, so we can discuss them as well. But before we get into things, Alex, how's things with you? How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks, Dan. Yeah. I mean, look, Monday, I think we did a live stream after the game, did we?
Yeah. After the game, that was emotional.
It was emotional, that one. Yeah. Well, funny story. I actually said to you, I can't make it, and then we played that bad. I thought I can't sleep yet. So
you had to speak,
which I appreciated. But yeah, no, all good. Looking forward to getting into this, mate.
Good. Right then, so we'll get into things. Like I say, we're just going to do a bit of a recap on that Leeds game. There isn't loads to say about it, to be honest with you, but. Again, I'll just kick off by saying, again, I didn't get a chance to watch the highlights. I don't know if you did, because I like to watch again when the emotion's high. Sometimes you miss things. Sometimes you overreact a little bit, especially if we've lost. But I just haven't had the chance to check any sort of highlights, match of the day or anything. Sometimes I don't even like to watch the highlights if it's that bad. But again, I like to just have a look and see if it was as bad as I thought it was at the time. But how have you felt about it? Have you digested it? Have you calmed down a little bit?
No. Funny you say that. Yeah, I mean, I watched a few. I didn't watch the highlights, but I watched SJG. I watched a few of the incidents back, particularly the two incidents referee-wise. So you got the obvious red card, hair pull, Martinez. And this has been a talking point all week. And you also had the first goal, Okafor, after Calvert-Lewin leans on Euro. And I watched both in detail, did a short on the Euro incident. They're the two things I mainly watched, to be honest, Dan. And the reason I did is because Carrick was very critical of the refs. And I'm not saying both incidents they definitely didn't go our way, and they could have gone our way. I do think you could have got the foul for Euro, although at the other end, I'm not sure.
I don't know if you get them, really. I don't know if you get them.
Not in a boxing and aerial thing. I think there was more on it. And you mentioned watching it back. I did notice Euro didn't even appeal, and maybe that's his inexperience.
Probably.
I think the thing with Euro in that incident is. When I slowed it down, he went up with his elbows tucked in, and he wasn't aggressive. You see Calvert-Lewin's out here, and Christian, and Yoro's. As soon as he joins, I'm ranting about Euro. His elbows are down, Dan, and I did a TikTok about this with Christian, and I said I wanted Euro to go up like Calvert-Lewin, right? That's what I wanted in that incident. I don't think that's going to be a pen if he does the same thing, and that's my thing with the aggressive nature. So I watched that back a little bit, and I'm still not convinced it was a foul. The hair pull, look, it's been a talking point all week, and I just seen he's got his ban held, the 3-game ban, which I'm sure you're probably going to touch on. And look, I don't think it was enough for a red, personally. I think it was stupid. And I think you summed it up perfectly.
Whilst you're touching on it, I'm going to just put up the picture anyway.
Yeah.
So I've mocked this up.
That's fantastic, that. Yeah.
So from butcher to hairdresser. But yes, we're going to move on to this and just say...
Sorry, I jumped ahead there. Okay.
It's fine.
I think when you look at the ruling, there's an excessive force comment in there with the head pull. There was not excessive force in that.
Exactly.
There is a grey area with this rule. It isn't hair pull equals red. There is an excessive force caveat in the rule by them guys who wrote the rules. They did not really, in my opinion, enforce it correctly. However, he ran the risk, and that's the point you made.
This is the problem.
On Monday, you said on Monday, did he just have a bit of a brain fart, shirt, hair, grabbed it, and then he let go at the last second when he realised it weren't the shirt? And they're the main two incidents that I couldn't bring myself to watch the first hour of getting pumped by Leeds in our house. That was it, mate. What about you? Did you watch anything back? What do you think of those two incidents?
I didn't get a chance to watch anything back, really. I just think the Euro one, because obviously flashed up a few times, didn't it? Again, it's one of those where I don't think you really get them. But you're right, though, in the sense that should he appeal? So I just put this chat up. Should should he appeal it as in the game when it happens? Should he be putting his arms up and saying ref? I'm not sure he's going to get anything, but I mean, there's argument to say that it has put him off, and he probably could have headed it a bit better if he didn't have an arm in his face. But you have got to be stronger. You've got to anticipate that a player like Calvert-Lewin is going to do all the dirty stuff to you. He's like almost like an old-fashioned number 9, Calvert-Lewin. He's got height to him. He's got a bit of nastiness to him. He isn't the best player in the world, but again, he's I'm going to say Duncan Ferguson because that would be giving him too much credit, but he's of that ilk where he wants to put his arms about and use his height. So you've kind of got to anticipate that. But again, you've said yourself, and whether that's giving him too much credit, is that it's his inexperience there. Both the challenge, but also not appealing that challenge. So absolutely. I would say overall that you probably don't get them, to be honest. The Martinez, as we've got the picture on the screen, again, as he had that brain fart moment, it isn't. I
think you nailed it with that.
It isn't violent conduct, is it? Come on. No. He's pulled his hair bobble out. No. I think it was probably coming out anyway. So I just don't think that. I mean, they could have probably, I don't know if they have appealed it, because in the presser, which we'll come on to, it doesn't sound like they have put it forward. Maybe because they're a little bit knocked after the Maguire situation, which we'll come on to as well. But I think overall, ultimately, as you know yourself and you watch the game, we didn't play well enough. There was I didn't see any signs of us winning that game anyway. So yes, 11 men on the pitch, would it have made a difference? I thought we played better when Martinez got sent off, strangely. So overall, in the balance of play, I don't think it would have made a difference.
Just anyway. On that, Dan, just on that, you know, in the post-match, I know we did our own post-match, didn't we, on your channel, actually, on Monday. Obviously, you probably caught up with Carrick going all in on the officials, and Roy Keane made a point in the overlap, which I sort of lean with, really, that when you play that badly, you address that. That's your number one address point. Are you a little bit frustrated that Carrick went straight for the refs and didn't really? He just went. We didn't come out the box. I want the accountability from Carrick. What did you think of that? I mean, are you a bit disappointed that Carrick went all in on the refs after that game?
I'm glad you brought that up, because I sort of forgot about that, and it was something I wanted to speak about to a certain degree. Because when I saw that, I just thought, again, that's showing your inexperience to a certain degree. Because I know that Fergie back in the day may have complained about stuff and all that sort of thing, but let's just take some ownership here. You set the team up in the way that you set them up. You start the game slow, which is a reflection on the coach. We said this ourselves after the match. So I think he needs to take a bit more accountability there for me. And again, I know we're sort of going into the presser to a certain extent, but in the presser I was disappointed as well, because a couple of the journalists sort of touched on the fact that he didn't make any substitutions early enough. He sort of sideswiped it, sort of said, well, you're always going to get this. So it was that sort of answer, like, people will talk, but you know, we've made substitutions in the past that have worked, and that was his answer. And I thought, no, Carrick, it's not about the substitution you make, who you bring onto the pitch, who you take off. It's the timing. It's the timing. Everybody, every man and their dog knew that there was a change needed in that first half. And you made no changes in the first half. And then everybody, Gary Neville, all the ex-pros, you name it, all thought he was going to make a change at half-time. All the fans folded in the ground. We did. And he didn't. So the journalists rightfully are asking him, a lot of people are saying, Carrick, about the timing of your substitutions. What have you got to say about it? Well, people are going to talk, aren't they? But I've made plenty of good substitutions in the past. That's not the answer I'm looking for, I'm afraid. I'm really sorry.
Yeah, well, we spoke about Carrick, didn't we, in about the 20-game job audition, the three of us, David, shout Dave there, thanks for listening. We spoke about Carrick's job audition, didn't we, Dan, and that he has got to be almost perfect. But we also acknowledge that there's going to be learning curves in there in this 20 games. It doesn't mean he can't get to where he needs to get to come game 38. It's just probably unlikely. But at the same time, you look at, I've got something that I wanted to bring to you. I was going to send you a WhatsApp, and I thought, you know what, I'll hit you with it live. So with the subs, you mentioned about the subs. They were late. They were very late. It actually was after the red card, which is crazy. So Michael Carrick he makes his first sub later than any other Premier League manager on average. Now, okay, small-ish sample size, 11, 12 games Carrick's managed this season. However, it was a similar story at Middlesbrough. He was one of the slowest to make a change in the Championship, and this is a thing. This isn't a small sample size. This dates back to his days in Middlesbrough. Obviously, we were tuned into Middlesbrough. However, you journalists of the world, your Mark Critchley's, who shout at him, he's done a piece on the New York Times on this. I had a little read about it. This is a thing with Carrick, and that's where I'm getting a little bit where, okay, you're new to the Prem, you're new at this level, but you have managed football teams. You were late with your subs at Borough. You got criticised then. You were very late on Monday. Does he need to go away, Dan? Does he need to go away, get more battle scars, and then come back? Maybe I'm jumping ahead of your agenda here, so apologies. But just the subs, that's all.
No. You've got a good point there. I think this has been my thinking probably for the last. Again, maybe I'm reacting to the fact that we haven't played as well as we did when you first came in, which is natural as a fan. You know, you're gonna go rough the smooth and stuff like that. Going to be on the high when we're winning. But I think there's certain things like that, what you've just mentioned there, with the certain signs to me that are starting to come to the fore where I'm thinking, are you the right man for the job? So we said it before after the game when we went live, the camera pans to him and he looks absolutely lost. He looks soulless. He's like, I don't know what to do here. And I think stuff like substitutions is a key thing. You know yourself, coaches over the past, managers over the past, making substitutions at the right time. You're not going to get 100% record of your substitutions over your career, but you need to get it right more than not for me. And I think if you're doing it too late as well, because I used to think, was it Ten Hag that were doing that a little bit as well? We definitely had a coach in more recent times that were doing a bit of that as well, where they were taking a while to make substitutions. And I think if you start putting on a player that could change things, but you're putting them on sort of 5 minutes to what? Because you used to get silly substitutions where they've got like 2 minutes. Maybe like a Mano would come on for 2 minutes and hammering and stuff like that. It's like, what's the point in that? What's the point in that? Exactly. It's just like, I get it that they'll do it sometimes to run the clock down a little bit, maybe, or to disrupt the play for the other team and their sort of rhythm. I get that. So there's a bit of tactics within the tactics there. But I think going back to Carrick and what you're saying there, that's an interesting stat that in regards to how long it's taken him to make substitutions. Is it? I think we touched on it. Is he, especially when you put Malacia on in that game, is he sort of doing that sort of friends club, boys club, don't want to upset people, I want to give everybody a run out, give everybody a game. But at the same time, I don't want to take certain players off because they might be angry with me. They might fall out with me. There's so many players. I like a player that is a bit frustrated. So long as they're not disrespectful, I don't mind a player that goes off a little bit pissed off because you just think, you care, you want it. So come back stronger the next time. So you've got to take that. And so many times, even like a Pep, I've seen it before where maybe a De Bruyne or something's been taken off and he's sort of not looked in Pep's direction. It happens. Salah's done it. It happens.
Of course.
So you can't be afraid of that. And I think going back to what you're saying there is I think there's a real issue around being firm and a decision maker and sort of sticking to your principles and being firm in your convictions, should I say. So it's like when it comes to your starting lineups, you've got to be firm in your convictions. And I was quite surprised, even though I called for it, that he did put Mbeumo on the bench, but there was rumours that Mbeumo wasn't quite fit anyway. So was it your decision or was he being ruthless? Now, he needs a ruthless streak at this level. You know yourself, Alex. These top coaches need a ruthless streak. And if you haven't got it, when it comes to, and again, my problem's going to be when it comes to like Champions League, if we get into it, if he's our coach, he's going to have to make some tough choices to get through certain stages of the Champions League. Or if he dares to flirt with trying to win the league, again, tough decisions. Look at Arteta. Look what's happening to him. So, it's a really good point there, Alex, because I think that stat as well is something I wasn't aware of. And I just think that's quite telling. Quite telling. How do you feel about that yourself? In the sense of, how do you feel it would impact? Because if let's say Carrick gets the job, which it's looking like he might do, and he's the guy that's in the dugout from next season, and he's doing stuff like that, do you think that's going to hamper us?
You've got to say yes right now. The point. Just when you was talking there, you made me think about the beginning of Carrick's reign. And he came in. I don't know if I was speaking to Christian or you or Dave about this, but maybe all of you. He came in, and I think I was just talking to Christian about it. He came in. The starting lineup came out. I was in the car with Christian. We were about to watch the derby, Carrick's first game. Patrick Dorgu starts. Mateus Cunha benched. Brian Mbumo starts. Benjamin Sesko benched. I'm sat in the car with my brother, and I'm like, "Chalky, what's this guy doing? Inexperienced, Borough coach, the usual." We will watch that derby. Patrick Dorgu on the left wing, and he started. He scored. He started at Arsenal. He scored. And that's the sort of thing, Dan, those decisions where I don't believe many United fans would have started Dorgu over Cunha left wing against City. They're the things where you sit back and go, they're doing something all week. They're preparing for the game. That's why Michael Carrick's the manager. That's why we're sat here, not the manager. However, since then, that's what surprises me, where that was a big call. Benching Cunha for Dorgu in game one, and Arsenal, by the way.
Yeah, and I quite liked that. I quite liked that at the time.
And you mentioned about the hunger in the players. And if you remember, obviously Cunha came on and won the game at Arsenal. He came on and had a big impact in the City game. He assisted Dorgu. So to your point, he absolutely nailed the starting 11, the bench lads. He got that hunger out of Cunha. Cunha has been pretty good since as well, to be fair. Dorgu got injured in fairness. But it's like, those starting lineups, I think that's why you mentioned there, like, we started brilliant, they played great football. But I also think I was struck by how ballsy those team sheets were to come in and go, Patrick Dorgu starts, 60 million Mateus Cunha benched. And where have we gone from that to the point where he can't make a sub when we're getting spanked by Leeds at home? It doesn't seem the same thing. Has he tightened up? Has he tightened up a little bit as Man United coach?
I just wonder if he's starting to question himself a little bit with things.
Really? Wow. I mean, that is a
I'm just trying to work it out, really, because like you've just said what's gone wrong? Yeah.
Do you think, like, it was, in the lead up to that City game, for example? Do you think it was like him and Steve Holland and the boys are talking about who do we start the weekend here? We've got Cunha, we've got Sesko, we've got Mbumo, we've got Ahmad. And you're looking at that and going, we've got to pick 3 out of them 4, right? They only picked 2 out of them 4. Sesko and Cunha was benched. Do you not think that they sat there going, these are big calls, by the way, because nobody else would have done that, Dan. I don't believe I would have done it. I don't believe you would have done it. I don't believe Dave would have done it. I don't believe many guys going to Old Trafford that day would have done that. To go to the point where just sub Ugarte after half an hour on Monday, or sub Ugarte at half time. It doesn't seem like the same thing. And now you could say the pressure's on now because you're in a Champions League race. Was he feeling clear going into that City game? Everything was doom and gloom. I don't know what you think about that. Do you think there's a contradiction between that City team sheet and what we're seeing now from Carrick? Because I can't get my head around, like you said.
Yeah, it's a hard one, isn't it? Because it's like I've started to say it as well, and I've said it a few times now, where when we've talked about who the next coach should be, and obviously there's times where when things were really good, again after that City game, the Arsenal game, Fulham game, and you name it, you're thinking Carrick's got to get the chance. David said himself, if he finishes third, you've got to give it him.
Yeah.
But then, like you say, there's things that have just seemed to have changed recently, and I think I was sort of saying initially that it's a bit easier, and I know other people have probably said the same, but it's a bit easier when you're coming in when you've got almost like nothing to lose to a certain extent. You're coming in to almost like save the day. Amarim sort of set light to the place almost, and you're just coming out to sort of fan the flames and try and stabilize things and then get out. So initially, between him and Solskjaer was sort of saying, romanticizing and saying, I want to get back in there, lads, and I want to the job full time and all this sort of stuff. Carrick came in with more of a diplomatic sort of point of view where it's like, I'm coming here to do a job and I will, get in, get out sort of thing. Obviously, things will have changed in his mind now, but I think in terms of the pressure, in terms of the expectation, and I think when things started so well for him as well, because it looks like there might have been a bounce, it's about what happens with the adversity. And I think that was my concern, is like, what happens when you have your first loss? Because don't forget, we almost got that guy's haircut. So everything was riding on this crest of a wave. And then when that sort of hit the fan, but on top of losing, we've also noticed that the performances were dropping as well. It's like, then what do you do? are you a big enough coach now to make the tough decisions, make the right calls to change things around? And like you're saying there is that sort of contradiction. Is it a bit? I'm not saying fluke's probably a bit rude, isn't it? But
no, I totally hear you. I mean, I just realised I didn't fully answer your question. You mentioned about going into the Champions League, didn't you? And these reservations about Carrick. I think we might have spoke about this on Monday, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself.
Well, I'm just going to put this up from Christian as well, because it looks like it's touching slightly onto that anyway.
Oh, okay. Very quickly, just on the decisions. I think of a Luis Enrique right now. Someone that we are, look, he's probably the best coach in the world with Pep Guardiola, right? I don't think anyone would disagree with that. He has a little disagreement with Donnarumma in the summer. You can go, bro. Best goalkeeper in the world. I don't care. You are out, right? This isn't. This isn't a. Oh, I better not sub Ugarte. This is a. You are gone, mate. I will get another goalkeeper. There's plenty more goalkeepers in the world. Maybe not as good as Donnarumma. And then what else did I see in the Liverpool first leg? Fabian Ruiz, who was one of the best centre mids at the Euros for Spain, one of the best centre mids for Luis Enrique for PSG. He's sat in the stands watching.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that. Yeah.
He's in street clothes watching the game, and the commentator made a point of they've had a falling out. Fabian Ruiz, mate, you can watch as well. Yeah, and these are big calls, Dan. These are top players. Donnarumma, Fabian Ruiz, a class. And we're talking
elite coach calls. Elite coach calls is what these are.
And this comes back to best in class Luis Enrique. Yeah. Maybe we can't get Luis Enrique, but this is to your point. Have we got hesitant Michael who daren't change things at home to Leeds United? Yeah. And
that's my worry now. That's my worry now,
isn't it? Sorry, Christian, shall we?
Yeah, so the question there from Christian, do you back United and Carrick to get the Champions League if they lose this Chelsea side? This is a issue for me, and it is something that we're sort of going to touch on now, so we might as well get into that now.
Yeah, let's do it.
To answer your question, Christian, I think if we were to lose against Chelsea, I'd be I'd be worried. I'd be worried because I think if that was to happen and then the other teams around us was to win, so for example, Aston Villa win and we lose to Chelsea, Villa go above us, 3 points ahead in third, we drop down to fourth, we'll have Liverpool that will be joint fourth with us if they win their game, and then Chelsea will just be about 4 points behind, I believe it is. So then that's definitely squeaky bum time. That's definitely the pressure, not the same pressure what Arsenal are under, but it's that sort of thing where we've kind of got into, I don't know how you feel, but it feels like we've got into third in a blink of an eye. So we sort of barnstorming start with Carrick, and it shows what the league's like, and it also shows what sort of your maths are like when it comes to 3 points each game. And if the teams around you are only getting 1 point or 0 points, it shows how much you can just fly up that table. And before you knew it, we're in third. And it's like, whoa, wow, how's this happened? And then you're in dream world then. So my next sort of things were going to be, and I'll sort of put this question to yourself because it's very similar to what Christian's saying there is, do you think that, actually, I'll let you answer this first, what Christian's just said, and then we'll go on to something slightly different.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling if we lose against Chelsea?
Look, you know me, Dan. I am very at the glass half empty at the best of times. And you nailed the numbers there. 4 point. Let's just say, forget Liverpool and Villa, we would be 4 points off of sixth, which would be Chelsea if Chelsea beats us. Okay. 4 points with 5 games to go after this weekend. I think that's a good gap still. I think that's a 2-game cushion, isn't it? Because we could afford to lose another one. I'm just looking at the form here. So I've got the form in front of me. Chelsea have lost 4 out of their last 5. Liverpool have lost 2 out of their last 5. Villa have lost 3 out of their last 5. And we've lost 2 out of our last 5. So, look, out of the 4 teams fighting for 3rd, 4th and 5th, we're all in bad form.
Yes.
Now, if Chelsea do win, we would go to 4 points in the last 5 games. We would probably be the worst form team out of them all of a sudden. Yeah. Now, that does open up a bit of a concern because, Dan, you might be able to correct me if I'm wrong. I think we've got Brentford. I think we've got Sunderland.
Yes, we have.
Liverpool.
Yep. We have. Yeah.
So look, and if you, I
think we're travelling to Sunderland. That would worry me. I'm sure we're going to Sunderland.
They've lost 1 game all season at home to Liverpool, right? They're top at home, aren't they, Sunderland? Okay. Look, you'd have to say you'd be worried because Well, it'd be 2 losses in a row. You mentioned about adversity. We've not lost 2 in a row under Michael. And that is the thing of, like I said, we'd be... Another thing I read today, I haven't got enough time to fact check this, but I think it might be right, Dan. If we lose on Sunday, sort of what Christian's saying there, we will have took 4 points from 5 games. That's the worst 5-game stretch of the season, including the Amarim reign. Any 5-game isolated stretch, we've done better than 4 points until this, and that is a worry, because you play like you do on Monday. I don't care what the fixtures are. You could lose to every single team in the league, Wolves included. So worried, yes. I still think United will do it, Dan. But you've got to say we're on thin ice if we lose on Saturday.
That's it. And I think just going on from that a little bit, so it's just more about, again, this is the finish line for the Champions League, but we've talked about, especially after that loss against Leeds, we talked about certain players in that game. Obviously, I couldn't name all of the team, to be fair. But thinking about, not even thinking about Chelsea, to be fair, but just thinking about the players. Can these players get us across the line? So despite of Carrick, so Yoro, Sesko, Ahmad, Agate, Mazraoui, Shaw, some of those players that played so poorly in that Leeds game. We've got to think about that a little bit as well. Do you really think that those players can get us across the line? That's another question as well.
I'm so glad you've asked that, because we spent so long talking about Carrick, and ultimately they're not in the big bad 3-4-3 now, right? You're in your 4 at the back. You've got your 2 holders. You've got your Bruno number 10. Look, can Carrick be better? Of course he can, right? However, he's putting 11 players in their position, something that we all asked for. Now, these lot need to look in the mirror. You're coming out sticking the gaff out, count past 10 yards. I think you're so right with that. And ultimately, they've got to do the job. Carrick can pick the team. Carrick can tweak things. They've got to go out there and win the game ultimately. Ahmad, are you going to cut in and shoot and score at some point this season, mate? You've got 2 goals and we're in April. Cunha, we want some consistency. I'm a big Cunha guy, right? But I've got to be fair. I'm not criticising one and defending the other. Cunha, you can't come and go, mate. Are you the dog? Are you the big dog or not? Bruno is consistent, and thank God we've got
this. Is
Bruno.
it consistency?
Benjamin Sesko wants the start. You're scoring all these goals off the bench. You're doing really well. You get the start, and you can't run when you're one-on-one with a defender with the goal inside. Mate, I think it's a great question. I mean, what do you think about the players, Dan? Have you got faith in these boys?
This is it, isn't it? This is the thing, because obviously, I suppose you see their true selves after a loss, I'd say. So it's all right when you're winning, because I've said it so many times before. You may not if you want to say over-analyze, you might not over-analyze a game when you've won it. You sort of ignore the flaws of that game, because with every game, you probably never get a perfect game, apart from maybe Pep at Barcelona, but you never get a perfect game, generally speaking. But when you win, you kind of like gloss over it. So it's like, for example, that Leeds game, don't get me wrong, I still would have been pissed off, but if we'd have somehow turned that game around and won it 3-2, let's say, you'd kind of forget about some of the stuff that had happened until you properly analyze it. So I just think when you've lost, it starts to show people's true characters for me. So in that loss, you saw I had this thing for Yoro in the sense of, I thought he's young. I think there's something there. He's promising. I don't put him on the level of Rio Ferdinand or anything, but I think there was something there. After that Leeds game, I'm like, Jesus Christ, you are shocking. He was struggling. He was struggling. Again, what we've done so many times as well at Manchester United since Fergie is sort of say, this player would be better with a player like that. And it's always a player that we don't have. So it's like, you might say, oh, Yoro would be fantastic with a Vidic. We don't have Vidic. Mano would be fantastic with this midfielder. And it's like, but we don't have that midfielder, and you can't keep saying this person will be better with that player, because we don't have that player. And sometimes that perfect player that you think they'll play well with is not attainable. And even if you brought them in, because I remember going off the points, but I remember when there was like Pogba, Ronaldo, and Bruno, and I was like salivating, thinking, "Oh my god, this is going to be fantastic!" Look what you know what I mean? When Pogba's on his day, and Bruno's on his day, and Ronaldo's on his day, this is going to be unplayable. People will never get the ball off him. And it was shit. Well, it wasn't always shit, but there were times where it was like, I'm scratching my head thinking, how is this not working? You know what I mean? So this is the thing. So going back,
I think, no, I was just going to say on Euro, because you mentioned there about if he was with him and stuff like that. And I think it's a really good point, particularly on Euro, because, you know, we had the 3-4-3 and Euro struggled with the wingers. You're in the right centre back, you've got to go out there. Okay, so Euro struggles with that. I think Morgan Rogers, the Southampton game, is famous for you're welcome to Suleimani, who we've never seen since for Southampton. Absolutely ran him into the ground for relegated Southampton, by the way. And so okay, Euro's in a big bad 3-4-3, right? When you wait till you get him in a back four, now he's in a back four, now he's crap in the air. And it's like, at what point, right, he can't defend wingers or out wide because he's not a right back first. I hear you. I think I even said to you, I feel a bit bad for Euro in that 3-4-3. Now he's a centre. Now you're in a 2 and no Harry. Obviously, Maguire suspended. And you can't win any headers. You're not aggressive in the air. Calvert-Lewin was pulling off of Martinez. He wanted the Euro matchup. Did you notice that in the game Monday down where Calvert-Lewin was looking for Euro for the duels, not Martinez? And I'm like, Lenny, you've got to look in the mirror, mate. You're the centre back at Man United. So you're so right. Like, it's and the same with Kobe. You mentioned Kobe. We're big Manu guys, obviously. I know David.
Yeah.
But it's the same principle. Manu needs a Kante/Caicedo player. Well, hang on. Can Manu just be brilliant himself? And if he gets that player, great. And I totally agree with you. Look in the mirror moments for some of these players. So I totally hear you.
Yeah, and I think there's again, it's just so sad that you've got to go back to Fergie days all the time just for reference. But I think there'll have been times in Fergie's days where the players, I mean, again, I know you probably couldn't do it now, but you go back to some of those teams that beat Arsenal where it was just flooded with just defenders, for example. But you can think of like the De Silva brothers in midfield or something, and maybe John O'Shea and stuff like that. But what you'd want to see, though, is like you've got good players, and yes, they'd be better with a better partner or someone that would complement them. But you've just said it yourself there. I still want to see something from you, though, because you're a professional football player that's playing for Manchester United. You should be of the level. You shouldn't need a particular player at the side of you for you to perform. But we also know that there's bad combinations, and again, this could be just recency bias or just not remembering, but going back to Fergie days again, I always felt when Fergie had a injury crisis, he could still get a team that could do something, and it never embarrassed him, generally speaking. 100%. Whereas now it's like you watch him against Leeds, they absolutely capitulate from minute one, and you think. And everybody's saying, "Oh well, I knew that Ugarte and Casemiro wouldn't work," but it's like, okay, I get it that Casemiro and Ugarte might not be the best pairing, but surely, as two professional football players, you can put on some form of display where you don't embarrass yourselves. And it's like, is it them? Because you hear ex-pros. Obviously, I stick to football now and again. I'll listen to people like Roy Keane, and he'll say, well. He'll take the piss out of Ian Wright and say about the Arsenal team and not sort of performing. And he's like, they don't have to listen to Arteta all the time. They can work it out for themselves. If they're a top-level players, if they can see something's not quite working on the pitch, you can tweak things. I mean, we've probably both played football. Unfortunately, not to the high level to actually play professionally, but we've played football, and you know yourself, I've played in different positions, and I know if I'm playing in midfield and I'm getting overrun, I'm just going to sit back a little bit. I'm not going to start opening up the space and being away from my my midfield partner. You're gonna get close together, aren't you? And you might shout at other players and say, tuck in for the next 5-10 minutes. Let's tuck in. Let's make it, let's be solid, be hard to break down for a bit, and then we can go again. And you can do that from the pitch.
course you can. I mean, we're obviously Keane's talking, and me and you obviously are old enough to remember the 90s, definitely. And your captain was your on-field manager, right? So Roy Keane's, I've seen the clip that you're on about there. Roy Keane's talking as your Martin Odegaard's of the world. Bruno Fernandes, I love Bruno, right? But you're so right. In those moments, Leeds is a perfect example on Monday, and there's been so many, under the Bruno reign, and it's not just Bruno, it's your modern day footballer, because Keane was an on-field manager. Yeah. Bruno is not an on-field manager, right? Bruno is going to play number 10 unless he gets told differently, right? You're so right. Where's that accountability on the pitch where Bruno Fernandes, hypothetically, or Casemiro, look at that game. Do you remember the first minute on Monday? Calvert-Lewin had a tap in, Lamont saved it. That was your wake-up moment. That's when Casemiro looks at Bruno and goes, you know what, let's just get a grip of this midfield. Ugarte hasn't played for ages. We've not got Manu. Bruno comes in and makes a 3, right? And we just get a foothold in the game. We feel Leeds out a little bit. It was nothing. It was just, let's just keep doing this and pray they don't score, which they did.
Hopefully something different happens, And
I think you're so right.
Yeah, and I think that was the issue as well. Going back to almost like Carrick, without labouring that point, is that their Leeds were playing football. And then we were and we were trying to hit it long. We were trying to hit it in behind, and it's like we're at home. What's going on here?
Just on this before we go on to the next thing. Yeah, just on the on-field management sort of thing you're talking about there with Keno, and with obviously Bruno Fernandes is our captain, our best player. So there's two things there. Bruno is not your on-field manager. Them days are probably gone, to be honest. Your Vieiras and Keane.
I think they have.
It's your best player, isn't it? You know, like, even the best players in the world. I look at like
small lead by example more than anything.
Of course it is. Like Messi and Ronaldo aren't on-field managers for Argentina and Portugal. They're just the best players, right? But would you like to see Carrick stood on the touchline? You mentioned there, stood a little, looking a little bit lost. Would you like to just him call Bruno over to him and go, Bruno, we've had a real tough 12 minutes here, right? We're 0-0, thank God. Can we tweak something? What do you think? Do you want Ahmad to come in a little bit? Do you want Cunha to drop in? Do you want to drop in with you guys Casemiro? To do nothing. It was just senseless, mate. And I totally hear you. And that is a massive, massive red flag. And I tell you what, Dan, on Saturday, I know we're going to talk about Chelsea in detail now. You're going to have moments on Saturday where we're under it. And
without a doubt. And have you got the answer to it?
Going? You might we might have another 10 minutes like we did on Monday because we've not got the defence. What are we just going to let it run again?
This is it, because this is one thing I started to think about afterwards as well. Is let's say that wasn't Leeds that we were playing against, and let's say it was a really good Liverpool. That could have been 5, 6, 7, 8-0. That if you just stay in the same way, because there were. We know that Leeds aren't the best, and Calvert-Lewin's not the best. On his day, he'll get a couple of goals, maybe even a hat-trick, but when it's not his day, he'll fluff his lines, he'll head her over the bar. So all that needed was Calvert-Lewin to be on form, and an Aronson maybe on form, and I mean, I didn't expect Okafor to score, but a Nonto, whatever he's called, coming onto the pitch and being on form and ripping us to shreds. And if that would have happened, that could have been ugly. I mean, it was almost 3 or 4-0 at half-time. We were just very lucky that Martinez did what he did, and then they fluffed the lines here and there. So it's shocking that it could have been 3 or 4-0 at half-time, and Carrick still stood there not knowing what to do. And like you've just said there, why? I mean, I remember watching, I think Mourinho's definitely done it, and I think maybe like a Diego Simeone's sort of done this sort of thing where they'll make some sort of indication. If things are not going well, they make some sort of indication to one of the players. And it's like almost like, just go down.
Yeah.
They feign injury. You can pull a couple of key players across to the touchline and just sort of say, right, give instructions. I've seen it so many times where the confident, more elite coaches are doing stuff like this. They're doing this dirty stuff. It's streetwise, and it's sort of like, you know, shithouser in a sense, but I mean, I think even when we played against Newcastle, it happened in that game. I'm sure it did, where there was something like that, and he was pulling a couple of the players across to change things. And you think if Eddie Howe's doing it, and I don't even rate Eddie Howe, then come on. You know,
it's a great point. It contributes to everything we've been saying, doesn't it?
Of course it does. Of course it does.
Your battle scars maybe hasn't got enough. Look, I like I said, how we started the Carrick segment, Dan. It started fantastically well with a team sheet no one would have picked. But I tell you what, you mentioned a Fergie team sheet. John O'Shea sent them in. I think me and you were old enough to remember Phil Neville and Juan Perón bossed the midfield versus Arsene Wenger, right? In a 2-0 OT win when I was probably about 13. What have you got Saturday, Michael? Think of it this way, Dan, right? Glass half full Saturday, which I appreciate. I saw Lenny Yoro's unavailable now as well, so we're down to Aiden Heaven as the only available centre-back. So I know you're probably going to come to that. But, okay, glass half full approach here, Michael. Your back's against the wall here, right? What have you got? What have you got? You sat there all week, at Carrington. Yeah. What can you come up with here to shock us? Because I think if we do get a point, if we get 3, I think they'll be the best points of the season in the circumstances. It almost nails down. If they don't beat us, I think we've got Champions League. And also just going to Stamford Bridge and getting the result. We spoke on Monday. We don't travel great there anyway. What have you got, Mike? Let's look at it the other way. What an opportunity to go, okay, it's a job interview. By the way, I went to Chelsea with Aiden Heaven and I got something. What an opportunity. So let's see, man. I mean, look, it's tomorrow. This time tomorrow, we'll know the answer.
Definitely, and I think, like you say, it puts him back on the map again. If you could get 3 points from that, because again,
where would you put that result tomorrow? Would you say one of the best results of the season?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying there. I didn't think about it that way, but now you've said it. Yeah, I agree with you in the sense that if he could get 3 points tomorrow, that would probably be his best 3 points he's got so far. Because again, we loved the Arsenal and the City game, but they were sort of like, I always saw them as free hits in a way, because I wasn't really expecting, don't get me wrong, I wanted him to be competitive, but I wasn't really expecting what happened in those games, especially against Arsenal, who were riding high at the time. So there was almost like free hits. Now with this one, you were actually playing in our mini league of trying to qualify for Champions League of that sort of top 5. So the teams below Arsenal and City, we're in our little mini league there, and this is our head-to-head with one of our rivals for that 5th spot. And I think if we can come out of that with 3 points, then it puts him back on track, it puts more confidence back in the team, and it gives him a chance again to sort of sway the Wilcoxes and the Omar Baradas and anybody that's doubting to give it to Carrick. It puts him back on track again. So this is why the title says he must respond. It's a must win, and it's a way to just keep the Wolves at bay, because the journalists, they'll probably never get nasty with him being English and British, but they're circling just slowly when they're getting questions like you're not making your substitutions quick enough. It's starting to turn slightly. The milk's starting to curdle. So he just needs to throw that milk out, get some fresh milk in and go again. But we'll have to see if he can do it. So
totally agree with you.
Conscious of time, so we'll sort of go on a little bit, but I'm just going to make sure I've got through all the comments, because I don't know if David's still with us, but he did put up a comment about, where is it now? There we are. Just that's one's for you, Alex. That
it's. I have got a little bit of a
King Cantona. Is it still there?
I swapped around, but yeah. I've got Eric and Messi, so he's a little bit out of place. Legend.
And I think that pretty much. I know, obviously, David did say something earlier. I did put it up on screen, sort of saying Martinez is going that Romero route now. Yeah. Both Argentinian, so don't be so biased there. But I think you've got a point there. I think the rashness here and there. I mean, I think he had it at times, but was masked by how good he is on the ball. Because I'm still amazed how good he is on the ball. How he threads the ball between the lines is just amazing at that. But I think when it comes to, again, I don't want to say that your Scholes and your Nicky Butts are right about him, but sometimes it can look a little bit like that, where he's struggling a little bit against some of those tougher defenders at times. But having said that, like you say, the more targeted Euro, because to be fair, maybe Calvert-Lewin didn't want anything of Martinez, especially when he's getting his hair pulled. So
point proven.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm just going to really quickly flash this up. I think we sort of touched on it anyway, but it's just a bit of a blow. I'm going to start getting onto the Chelsea thing now anyway, but it's a bit of a blow, obviously, with Maguire's getting that extra ban because he must have swore at the ref. I mean, obviously, debatable about the card in the first place in some eyes, but you've just got to leave the pitch, don't you? Again, heat at the moment, I get it. The only thing I'd say with this, though, is that there's so many players, especially in the heat at the moment, who are not happy that they've been given a card that's going to swear at the ref. It happens all the time. And they have to be consistent with this sort of stuff. I mean, have you got much to say on it? The more the question is how much are we going to miss Maguire in this Chelsea game?
Well, yeah, so I'll tell you what, I'll
just really quickly.
We're going to miss him a lot, which is firstly, just very quickly on it. It's you took the words right out of my mouth, to be honest, with the swearing incident. Okay, look, I think he tried to say he swore generally. Joshua Zirkzee was a innocent bystander who was a witness, apparently. Look, he's obviously told the fourth official to do one, and in the circumstances, look, I thought it was a bit of a daft. He should have let Evan Nielsen go through and trust Le Mans. And even if he scores, it was 11 versus 11, and we could try and get the win, right? Obviously, the red, the double jeopardy shit. But look, Matheus Cunha got the Palace guy red card and pen, didn't he, a week before? So we can't have it both ways. I think it was that quiet. Look, I think, to answer your question, I think I saw something today. I don't know if you remember it. It might have been Arsenal against City a few years ago. And there was an incident where somebody got played through one-on-one in the last kick of the game for City, and the ref blew his whistle, right? As full time. Or he blew it for a free kick and didn't play advantage. One of the two, right? Full time comes. It was on Twitter today, hence why I don't remember this like word for word. Haaland, like airs out ponytail, fuming, swearing. You don't need a lip reader, Dan. He is swearing his head off at the ref. Nothing. And we all accept that. Look, the ref made a massive mistake. City were clean through. The ref didn't play advantage, or he blew the full-time whistle. And Haaland was giving it some. And that's fine. Look, we all do it, don't we? You mentioned we play football Sunday League. You hear it all the time, right?
This is it.
To give another game ban, are we just getting a little bit battered by it at the minute? I feel like I don't want to whinge, but come on. He said.
It just feel like there's a conspiracy sometimes. I mean, again, I know there's been a lot of bad decisions that don't involve Manchester United, but it just feels like there's so many. Because I always say there's so many refs where we've ruined their childhoods because these referees do support other teams, and we've probably beat the team that they support. So I just think sometimes it's almost like getting back at us, and maybe because they've had the Fergie hairdryer maybe in the past as well. It's almost like, right, we're going to get our own back, and maybe that's just daft to say, but sometimes it feels a bit like that. I think there's certain things where the only thing I will say is that we've been notoriously bad at appealing, as in we just don't appeal, generally speaking. But I think we should appeal more. I think we should, because I remember, I can't try to think what Klopp said. Klopp said something about us getting too many penalties. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I do.
And all of a sudden, our penalties dried up. Again, it could just be a timing thing, a coincidence thing. But I think sometimes you've got to play the game. And I think Fergie was fantastic at stuff like this, where he had everybody in the palm of his hands, from players to journos to referees to the chief of referees, whatever you want to call it. And I think it's not a cheating thing before anybody starts who might watch who are not a Manchester United fan. It's just more about playing the game. And I think Pep does it. When you're an elite coach, you earn the right to be listened to. So Mourinho back in the day would have been listened to. Pep will be listened to because they've been respected in the game. Klopp gets listened to. Fergie got listened to. So that's how it works. And I think sometimes you've got to use your influence a little bit to make sure that things are right. And I just don't see a problem with that. I just don't think that we've had strong enough coaches more recently to do that. And I don't think our guys are not. I mean, maybe now you might get a Wilcox, maybe, and maybe a Barada that might turn around and say, you know what, we were at the game, and I don't agree with that decision. So let's lodge an appeal. Whereas in the past, you've got airy fairy people in the offices there who, you know, again, we had people like Woodward and people like that that were rugby fans who weren't really football fans. They didn't understand it, did they? So maybe things are changing, but they need to change, don't they, to get anywhere?
I totally agree. Also, I think of a couple of weeks ago, Rodri came out and absolutely lambasted them after the Christina.
But you normally get away with things now.
He did.
Sorry,
absolutely. He suggested. I think Rodri actually said he thinks there's a deeper thing going on here, that the officials actually want Arsenal to win the league, and he got away with that. He didn't get charged with any sort of ban. And since then, City have actually got into some good form. I'm not saying the two are connected, but it's like Rodri came out with his chest, right? Didn't he? I think it was the Forest game, and there was a couple of pen decisions.
Yeah, I did hear about that. Yeah.
He came out post-match, absolutely roasted them, suggested him not match fixing, but not far off. No ban, and since then, City have got their chest out now. We're hunting Arsenal down. So I agree. Are we? We're not what we were, Dan. Are we? I mean, that's fair. I mean, that's
no, that's
not the hottest take. But on and off the pitch, I agree. Could be better.
Definitely. So that was obviously quite disappointing to lose Maguire there. Obviously, you mentioned there Yoro. You probably might say we might not miss Yoro, but now we're going to be probably left with. I mean, we'll come on to that anyway. But who we're going to be left with, but we'll come on to that. So just to really touch on the press conference. So obviously, I won't ask you too much on that because I know you didn't watch it. But normally with these press conferences, as you know yourself, they're in two parts. So I think the second part's probably in the morning. There's not a lot said from Carrick. I do remember hearing Goldbridge the other day sort of saying that he hadn't watched a presser for a while, but after watching the presser, I think he must have watched the presser today and basically saying that he's got no charisma, he's quite boring, doesn't really say anything. I don't know whether we need our coach to be exciting, but I think it probably does help to have a bit of charisma. So to instill that into the players and have someone that the players can sort of, you know, lean on and follow and be a leader. And I think there's probably something in that, to be fair.
Softly spoken bloke, right? But
yeah.
I tell you what, I think you might have touched on it on Monday about, you know, when it's going well. I think the kids of today refer to it as aura. I think Michael's got that. We won 4 out of 4. You mentioned we nearly got your man a haircut, and Michael's very softly spoken. He stood there, hands in pockets. We're winning games. We're bossing City. We're bossing Arsenal. And then the flip side is you're getting pumped by Leeds, and the camera comes over to him, and it's like, oh my God, he's clueless. So it's like so determined by intangibles, isn't it? Where it's
this is it. Yeah.
And I totally agree with you. And you mentioned Goldbridge as well. I didn't see the clip, but he doesn't. You know, I think what it is it's like we spoke about the halftime team talk on Monday, and because of how softly spoken he is and the lack of obvious charisma, you can't imagine him going in there and taking the door off the hinges.
This is the problem.
And that's the thing where if it's great, he's softly spoken, lovely bloke. I think a lot of him. I think he's a really nice guy. But nice guys don't win big trophies, right? Because I've seen Guardiola on that. What's that?
Nice guys finish last,
Nice guy finished last, in every which way. The City Amazon Prime covered City for a season, and obviously you got a little bit of intel for Pep, who, in fairness, Pep, similar calm nature about him. Jesus Christ. You watch that Amazon Prime documentary, he comes in, sit down, shut up, nobody speak. You're like, fuck me. Whereas Carrick, it's like, are they coming in whinging about refs at half time? Is that what
you know? Exactly.
So I think you're right. I do think there's a thing there. You can't ask Carrick to change. He is who he is, and he was a fantastic player because of the calmness. But do you think there's something in it, Dan?
Yeah, and I think just to finish off on that is that there's only so far the whole Carrick is a legend, Carrick was an excellent player for Manchester United is going to last for you. And I think some of the players have touched on that and said, oh, it's lovely to have Carrick in here. You only have to look at his career and stuff like that. But that won't go, it only goes so far, stuff like that, to the point where it's going to start getting questioned. I mean, how many coaches have we had where the players and the journalists are saying, oh, the training was fantastic. It was way better than the last regime. Oh yeah, we're absolutely knackered, or we've learned so much, or it was, it was elite. It was elite. So it only goes so far, to the point where you've got to actually start to show something, and that's where we come on to Enrique's and stuff like that. But anyway, it is what it is. So we'll move on now, just quickly. It's still about the presser to a certain extent. It was just that he touched on who maybe in and out, but obviously Yoro was something that came up more recently. So just sort of put up there, obviously we've got Maguire out, we've got Martinez out, because obviously Martinez has got that red card and the violent conduct. And then Inns, we've got potentially Mano coming back. He was spotted at the train station, so everybody calm down. He was spotted at the train station, but Yoro wasn't spotted at the train station. And that's what started the speculation. And then Mount, I know he was sort of there anyway, but that's sort of like our Inns. So just to, obviously, we're going to be really quick on this part, really, is that, are we welcoming Mano back? Is that a breath of fresh air?
After watching them two in centre mid on Monday. God, my word. They come past 10 yards.
I think that's a no-brainer.
Look, Cobby,
he's got to start. He's got to start for me.
Our guy.
With one leg, even.
Yeah. Mate, he's playing 90 minutes. I don't care how bad he plays.
Yeah, exactly. You stay on and get injections. You're staying on the pitch. I don't care.
Our guy Dave has these issues with Main. It was some valid. I think there is some.
Yeah, I do get some of his points.
But I tell you what, I will take safety on Saturday.
But when you look at that performance, I mean, I'm not saying it would have been drastically different, but when you saw how that midfield was performing without Mano, you just think, that guy's doing more than we think, or more than we realize potentially.
I mean, I've been on Casemiro's case for a few weeks, to be honest, even with Cobby playing. And it's interesting you say that, because I was at my son's football the other night, and there was a dad there. He's a United fan. We were like, "Oh, did you watch the game Monday?" A little bit of chit chat, and he went, "Jesus, I didn't realise how much Manu must cover for Casemiro." And obviously, I'm not picking myself up here, but I've said it for ages with Casemiro. These headers, amazing. But his midfield,
he's not doing much else, is he? In a sense,
the passing.
He's vacant in midfield. He leaves his position anyway. To crash the box.
He's not a box-to-box midfielder, frankly.
And Mano must be run ragged in midfield. No wonder he missed the last game.
Yeah, that's why Manu keeps it simple. He's no energy left covering for Cass. Look, Manu absolutely chuffed, to be honest, but I do think it's a massive win for us in there that they have got a Caicedo. Look, maybe he was overpriced. I think 120 million is insane. Whatever he ended up at, they've got an Enzo Fernandez. Whether we think that 200 million for them two is ridiculous or not, they're still good. They're in the good category in the Prem. They'd start for us. Caicedo would certainly start for us. No, obviously not the hottest take. So having Cobby in there, at least we have got a body in there who plays
a bit of legs, definitely.
Yeah, and I also don't think he's as slouchy as people think.
No.
Just on that, Danny. I mean, obviously Cobby being back, fantastic. We mentioned Caicedo and Enzo. And obviously Palmer's going to be the 10 probably. So you've got that diamond in there, that triangle, sorry. Are you looking at Caicedo and Enzo, particularly Caicedo's athleticism in there, as a bit of a nightmare matchup of how we contain Chelsea legs-wise? I know Manu helps, but is that something you're looking at with like, oh my God, what are we going to do in there?
Yeah, that is a worry for me. So you just think about the matchups. Now you've said that with Enzo. You almost put them against them, though, in the sense of if you went Caicedo against Mano, for example, or Enzo against Casemiro. But then, like you said there, it could be a nightmare. I think the only thing we've got, and before we sort of get into score predictions and stuff like that, but I think the only sort of saving grace is that they haven't been in great form, and we'll come on to that now. And they've got a nutter in charge, a mad professor in charge. But that does worry me, the legs. And you're right, Caicedo, we know he's a really good player. We should have really bought him. We should have really bought him before Brighton did. Really, we had the opportunity to do so, and we just didn't do it. Yeah, Enzo. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Enzo, but again, mobility-wise, getting around the pitch, that is a concern, because if you match him up against Casemiro, he's going to run rings around him to a certain extent. And then, like you say, Cole Palmer he loves playing against us. He's a Man United fan, but he loves to play against us. So it could be really tricky for us. So I'm just going to now just look at the form table. I know you've sort of touched on little bits yourself anyway, but
I'm sure.
Chelsea on the left-hand side, ourselves on the right-hand side. You can see there, Chelsea have not had the best time recently. They've had that loss against Newcastle, a big loss against PSG. They had that Everton one was a shock. And then obviously out of nowhere, 7-0 against Port Vale, woohoo. And then back to normal again against City. Ourselves, we had that 2-1 at Crystal Palace, which seems such a long time ago now. Newcastle, where we lost 10 men. Beat Villa, which was obviously good for us in terms of that, almost like a 6-pointer. Then that 2-2 with Bournemouth, which I'm still disappointed with up till today, still disappointed with that. And then that horror show on Monday. So in regards to that, just really quickly, do you read into that at all in terms of our form guide there? Do you read anything into that really?
I mean, from their perspective, look, I mean, they're not in great form. I mean, they're shipping goals like more than us, to be honest. I mean, look, Everton and City put 6 past them in their last 2 league games.
Some of that's a lot of that's at home as well for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think they were okay in the first half an hour against City. The Cucurella goal, being VAR'd, was a bit of a killer because it took the wind out of them, and then City flexed their muscles in the second half, and obviously City were a good side. Look, you mentioned there Newcastle have been poor this season, Dan, and they went there and got a win. I just feel a little bit better if we had our best 11, and look, I appreciate not everybody does in the Prem. You've got to deal with your injuries. If we just had a couple more players available, Maguire and maybe Adogu, I'd
be way more confident. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I hear you. So for me, look, form probably goes out the window a little bit just because we've not got any centre backs, and I don't know what to expect from us. And they might fancy it. They might smell a little bit of blood. So maybe it goes out the window.
That's probably just like raised their head a little bit when they've seen us lose against Leeds. I might have thought at first they might have been thinking, "Oh, we've got Man United coming up. That's going to be tough." And then they see us lose against Leeds in that manner. They might think, "You know what? Actually, lads, we've got a chance here. I know we're bad, but Jesus, that was shocking." So looking at the. So this is just on Foot Mob and just looking at the sort of predicted lineup to a certain extent. And obviously, interesting. Now, we're not going to go sort of player by player per se, because obviously I'm conscious of time, and obviously, again, appreciate you've come on at this time of the night. But looking on their side to begin with, is anybody there that stands out? You already mentioned Caicedo. Is anybody you're worried about? So, for example, a Neto. Obviously, we've mentioned Palmer. Anybody worry on their side?
I must admit, I've been impressed with João Pedro this season. I think when you were scrolling, then I know he's got 14 league goals, which is, I mean, he could get 20 league goals. That's an amazing return for João Pedro.
Yeah, on the quiet almost.
On the quiet, 100%. I must admit, the games I've watched, he has been their best forward, better than Palmer. Obviously, Palmer's had that fitness issues all season, never got going really. Interesting that Foot Mob, obviously, that they don't know what David Brent, LinkedIn manager's going to do, but they've gone with the extra midfielder there, haven't they? They've got Andre Santos, Caicedo, and Enzo in a 3. When I was speaking to you, I thought, and Palmer off the right. I'd probably be quite happy with that if they did stick, because I think we were talking before about Palmer as the 10, those pockets around Casemiro, Mainu.
Yeah, that would worry me.
Whereas Enzo's an number 8, isn't he? He's not look, he's okay attacking. He's an okay box-to-box midfielder. Palmer is a proper 10. Look, I'd be happy if they lined up with Palmer off the right, because I feel like that would suit United a little bit better. So look, defensively, I don't overly rate any of their back 4.
I think that's probably where we might have a chance potentially.
What about the goalkeeper?
I think he's Onana levels for me. I think he started the season okay.
I think he's fucking terrible.
He's horrendous. I mean, it's a toss-up between him and Onana, who was the worst keeper ever.
I hear you. Okay, well, just on that then, let's I think, look, they're a decent. I don't rate Neto or Garnacho, but I don't want to say too much for obvious reasons.
Don't say anything about Garnacho. Don't dare.
Surely, I think
surely not.
knowing Racine, you won't be surprised if he started him just to give it the storyline. Sanchez, okay, United good off set pieces down, decent from distance. Cunha, Bruno, decent from distance. Are you looking at that as okay? Sanchez is a bit crap. We're great off corners. Yeah. Bruno's a fantastic set piece taker. Cunha can shoot from outside the box. Bruno can shoot from outside the box. Is that something you think we could, target-ish the goalkeeper?
Yeah, because it's just triggering something for me there where, again, I hate to keep saying this, but going back to elite coaches, I would imagine that, and I don't think you have to be elite because we're talking about it, but I would imagine a Mourinho type person, even a Pep or whatever, would say that left-hand side's weak or that right-hand side's weak.
Yeah.
That goalkeeper's weak. So keep putting the balls in. And I think, like, going back to, was it Everton that did it to us? And they thought they're going to target Le Mans, but Le Mans got the better of them.
Yeah.
For example. But going back to this, you'd think Carrick could say, right, that back line is quite inexperienced. It's not the best. So, for example, if Sesko starts, target Hato or whatever he's called, or target Fofana, whatever it may be, then it might be get those crosses into the box because Sanchez will fumble it. Get those corners, whatever it may be, and sort of target their weak areas because obviously we're going to struggle probably with Caicedo. We're going to struggle probably with Fernandez there, Enzo there. So we've got to look at their weak points. And I don't know, again, is Carrick that type of person to sort of home in on stuff like that and do his homework? And this is obviously time will tell and the proof will be in the pudding, but is he got that in him to sort of, because a lot of the coaches out there are doing this sort of stuff. We've had it happen to us so many times. But it happened to us so many times. So yeah, I think you're right with the Sanchez thing. I agree with you.
Okay, I mean, also I don't rate Gusto either, and I'm a big Cunha guy. I'd like to see, looking at this, assuming Carrick doesn't do anything mad formation wise, which look, he might do. Maybe Amorim's black mark the five at the back forever. But if you was, what I would say, Dan, is if you was going to do it, it would be possibly the game to do it with no centre backs, where you could go Shaw, Heaven, and Mazraoui as a back three. Shout out Ruben. I don't think he will do that just because of
it's a shout. It's a shout.
If you're going to do it, coming from someone who hates that system, I daren't say it.
It did sort of do that towards the end of a couple of games in his earlier stint coming back in, where he sort of did that. So, you never know.
I thought that. I was going to ask you. So look.
Yeah, I think I did see that a couple of times he did that.
Right.
Just to sort of close the game out.
Yeah, and Carrick shouldn't worry about the noise. Look, I mean, you can already see the social media going off if Carrick picks up.
Amorim in disguise. Amorim in disguise.
Yeah. So look, that's me. That's people like me and you laughing. That's not. He's the manager of Manchester United. If he thinks a 3-4-3 gets the job done, you pick that teammate. And we can waive it on occasions. I didn't like it as the only system. If you play back to my initial point, Mateus Cunha against Gusto, bro. Cunha, you've got to be at it Saturday. Dan, let's revisit this in 24 hours, mate. I want to talk about how was Cunha. Look at this. It's going to be Cunha against Gusto. There's no Reece James. He's crocked as always. Cunha. You were 65 million. I think he's a class player, Cunha. This is a good opportunity for Palmer. If Palmer's on that right, or Neto or Garnacho, whoever plays on that right wing, I tell you now, they ain't tracking. They ain't tracking back at all. So what an opportunity.
I think both sides are weak for that reason, because you're right there. In the modern game, you do expect your sort of wide men to sort of tuck in and sort of help out a little bit and double up where need be, especially if you've got a tricky player. And I wouldn't say that Palmer's the best at that, and I wouldn't say Neto's the best at that. So then you're going to isolate, or you could isolate Gusto, you could isolate Cucurella there. So I think that's a good shout there, where we could use either wing. We could play down either wing and get some joy, I feel.
I must admit, I feel a little bit better now looking at this.
I mean, again, we don't know how he's going to start, obviously, but when we look at their players, and obviously just below this, it did show who were out, and obviously Colwell, I really like him, but he's not been around for such a long time. Reece James, on his day, excellent fullback. Chalobah, wouldn't have been bothered about him anyway. So yeah, it's not great when it gets towards their defence. And again, that keeper is dodgy. So going over to us then, and obviously this might not be quite what we will start with, but it shows there our weaknesses there in defence there. Don't know how he's going to set up. It's interesting that Shaw's gone there. I didn't really think about Shaw going there, but he has played at centre-back in that sort of that three. I think he's competent enough to do it. It's just that, again, it's about form, isn't it? I think if that was Shaw on top form, I'd be comfortable with that. Shaw currently, he switches off a lot for me at times. I'm not sure about this, but would you, again, this is kind of thrown me because I've just looked at this to see Shaw there, but I don't know who else you could. I don't know what else you could do other than putting Mazza there. So, what are you thinking here in that back line? How would you sort of look at this and set up?
Okay, so let's, for argument's sake, say he isn't going to go 5 at the back. I think, in the situation and the noise around Man United playing 5 at the back, we don't think Carrick's going to do that. So if he's going 4, Aiden Heaven is one of them, right?
Yeah.
Who is partnering Aiden Heaven now? There's only 2 choices for me. It's either Luke Shaw or it's Uncle Casemiro.
Forgot about that. Yeah, he could do that.
They're your options. But
then that could be a Garte and Meno then.
That means Ugarte and Meno play. So you pull from, look, Casemiro I've got my issues with, but at the same time, him and Menu have been a decent midfield. They've won 7 out of 11 games, so they're not bad. So you've got the bonus of Menu coming back, so you want to leave them 2, right? It has to be Shaw. In my opinion, can't be chucking in. You might know better than me. I don't think there's no way a youth team player is going to get lobbed in it.
No, I can't see it. I can't see it. I can't even think of one.
No. The only one I did think of is, when JJ Gabriel highlights, there's a player who looks like Maguire at the back. I don't know if you've seen him. He just
I
don't know his name, but unless he is literally Harry Region.
He actually has got the same sort of body shape and turn and everything as him. It's like, this is scary. I hope he's quicker.
He runs the same. He's a bit like pigeon-toed, like Harry. Okay, so for me, I think we're both in unison here. It's going to be this team that we're looking at. We've got Dallo, Shaw, Heaven, and Mazraoui.
Well, we know that's going to be the combination of the back line. Well, we don't know, but we're guessing that's going to be the back line. We just don't know in what combination. But it's a good shout though, because we know that Casemiro has played centre back here and there.
Yes.
But will he put Casemiro at centre back ahead of? I mean, I won't want to see Mazraoui there again. Mazraoui on form, which I don't think he's been that good since. Well, I mean, he played all right under Amorim, but probably played his best games under Ten Hag. To be fair, I don't think I'd want to see him at centre back. So I think how it's showing it there, I think. I mean, Dallo at left back.
Let's hypothetically say that's the back 4. I think the rest will be main of Ugarte. I also think Mbumo will play over Sesko. If that's the back 4 tomorrow, Dan, how many goals do you think we're conceding tomorrow? Do you think we can concede 2 or less? If we concede 3, you're probably losing the game. Odds, If we concede 2, I could see us getting a couple. I've got to be honest. I think their defense is not much better than ours, to be perfectly honest. What do you think? How many goals do you think? Do you think we're conceding 2 as a given here with this defense?
There's not to spoil the score prediction, but there's a chance. There's a chance that there's every chance that we could definitely concede more than 1 with that back line if we don't get the combination right. And the problem you've got with this as well is that those 4 haven't really played together. Because Heaven's been, since Carrick's come in, Heaven hasn't really played. Shaw's always been left back. Dallo has generally been right back, and Mazraoui's just been on the fringes. So whatever you do in that back line is going to be a bit shaky because they just don't have any relationship. So that's a worry as well.
Do you think there's no chance he goes with the back 5? Or do you think there's a reasonable, a 20% chance he goes? Or what are you saying? Would you be floored if 7 p.m. tomorrow he's gone back 5? Would you be shocked?
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked, but at the same time, I think how much because I haven't seen part 2 of the press conference, but how much notice has he had that Yoro's out? Because you would have imagined they've been practicing it as a back 4 all week. And this Yoro thing seems to be one of those where they're just going to monitor him right up to the last minute. And it's like, oh, no, he can't make it, is my guess. So do you switch it to a back 5 that close to the game without really training in that formation? I would be a little bit shocked if he did do that, but at the same time, I'd understand. I'd understand if he did do it, but I'd be a little bit surprised, only because I don't know how much notice he had, or how much they kept it under wraps that Yoro wasn't going to play. I think it's been a last-minute thing that Yoro can't play, and therefore they've been training in the back 4 all week and expecting Yoro to start. And I think in his head, he probably had Yoro and Heaven as the partnership in his head. And then it was like, oh, Yoro's out. Oh, shit, what do I do now? So, interesting. But again, we'll move on to the rest of the squad there then. I'm guessing and hoping at the same time as guessing that Agate ejected, Meno in, alongside 100%. Casemiro. I think that's needed. I think it's a must. I'm sure you agree there. Bruno, number 10. Sure, Bruno, number 10. I think the question mark's then going to be, does Ahmad stay in or does Mbeumo come back? Would you prefer Mbeumo to come back in or sort of leave that sort of front three as the way it is on the screen?
I would definitely, I feel really strongly about this, I would definitely bench Sesko for Mbeumo.
I get that.
I also think it gives us a very, very good bench option in Benjamin Sesko. So I think it's a
fantastic shout.
Fantastic shout. And Ahmad, the much maligned Ahmad, he's been relegated behind me to King Eric.
Don't listen to David. Don't listen to David.
I tell you, he is right about Ahmad. I've got to give him his props on that.
It's looking that way.
Ahmad, okay, let's accept he's not going to get a goal or an assist this weekend. It's been the story of his season. Unfortunately, he's just not seemed to get that productivity back in his game. After going to right wing when Carrick's come in, he's still not done much. So, however, we know what Ahmad's good at, right? He is good at getting his foot on the ball. He's good at ball retention. He can carry it 10, 15 yards. He can't shoot at the end of it. Right, but it's a game, Dan, where we're going to have to keep the ball at times and simply keep. I'd like us to have more than 50% possession in this to alleviate some of the pressure that the defense is going to be under. So I'm all in on Ahmad, and look, Sesko's been great off the bench. If we're drawing or within a goal, great opportunity to bring him on. And if you're Hato and Fofana, Sesko's a good matchup for them for 30 minutes at the end. So.
And it's a different challenge for him than after Mbeumo, No, I agree with you. I think I'd go the same.
I hope Michael does do that. I think he will as well, to be honest.
Yeah, because my vision is, like you've just said there, Ahmad probably won't get you an assist or a goal, but what I can sort of see happening is him getting into that box, dropping his shoulder, doing that sort of tight control that he can do. I'm not saying going for a penalty, but what I am saying is that their defender sort of either backing off or lunging in, and he just does a tight sort of spin, twist, turn, what have you, and they get all their feet and legs in the wrong place, and you never know. Or even just drawing fouls and getting free kicks and just getting a bit of territory in their half. I think that's possible. And then on the other side, as you've said yourself, Cunha up against Gusto there. I think we can really, I mean, again, this is all hopeful. This is all sort of not even, kind of dream world in a sense. But if they just played to their potential, their abilities, I think Ahmad and Cunha could cause some real problems. Then Bruno, again, I don't like the full-on in-behind stuff all the time. But Mbeumo just really going at those two centre-backs and just going against that inexperience, I think he could really cause some damage. So I think it's a good shout, that, definitely. And I think I'd like to see that sort of front line.
That front post had success. He scored 3 against Villa, scored 3 at Arsenal. You know, we've had good success with it. So, look, I think it's a no-brainer. Hopefully Michael does as well, man.
Yeah, definitely. Right then, so just to finish off then, it's the big one. You flirted with it. It's here. It's here.
Yeah.
We're here. We're here.
Who's
so sorry, people, for those that are watching. I know it's getting late, but we're here now. Getting towards the end, and it's the prediction, the score prediction. Problem is, I've kind of changed my score during the show. I think I've exactly that sort of foot mob thing is just like done me. And then when you ask the question about how many goals do you think we could ship with that back line, I'm like, oh well. I started off with a score line, but I'm not sure. What I'm going to do is...
You're not picking that Port Vale score, are you?
They're definitely... Well, hopefully not.
7-0.
I know. Go on, Alex. Are you ready to say your score?
Yes, well, I did my predictions episode with my brother before this a couple of hours ago, and obviously this was one of the 10 fixtures this weekend. Right. I am going to tweak mine after seeing their defence. Unfortunately, Dan, it's not a great one for Manchester United. My score prediction is Chelsea 3, Manchester United 2. I was thinking 3-1 actually. The ghost of that Leeds game plus the back four. However, similar to yourself, you showed me their back four, and I thought, you know what? Why are we not thinking the same as them? Why can we not get 2? Why can we not get 3? So the goal is this weekend, can Manchester United score 3 goals? We would probably guarantee a result if we did. However, I can't say 3-3 as a prediction because it would be insane. And I just feel things have gone wrong for us. And unfortunately, I think it's a tough 3-2 loss. But I think, look, we'll see how it goes. It could go either way, maybe 3-2 either way. I'm going to go Chelsea, though, for argument's sake, Dan. What are you saying, mate?
Yeah, I think, I get what you're saying there. And again, my score has changed, and funnily enough,
tell us the life of your score. What's happened with it? Go on, tell me where.
I could take you through the journey. Yeah. Go on. Funnily enough, we're gonna do a build-up show tomorrow, and I'm probably gonna stick this back up again. And I have a feeling my score might change again tomorrow. But anyway, I started off with...
It's a tough one this time. It's a tough one to predict this.
Before the Leeds game, because I was thinking ahead, I'm thinking, you know what? We're going to beat Leeds. And I could see us, and I know it doesn't happen much, but I could see us actually getting a win against Chelsea. And I would have been more confident for that if we'd have beat Leeds. Since Leeds... and probably just after Leeds, I'm like, oh my God, Chelsea are going to batter us. They're going to batter us. It's going to be like 3-4-0. Then I've calmed down. And then I've looked at this and I thought, ooh, what Alex has said there is a good point. Our backline's not looking great. We can ship goals there. Then I look across to their side and think, well, they've got Hato and Fofana. And sometimes Fofana can have some right shockers. He can have some right shockers, Fofana. Gusto, I think, is decent going forward, but is he good at the back? And then Cucurella is one of those, again, he can have really good games or really horrendous games. And then Sanchez is just Onana for me. So trying to put all that in consideration, then you've got the issue with Palmer because he plays well against us a lot of the time, but he's not on form at the moment, I believe. So it's such a difficult one. I'm getting sort of pulled from one side to the other. But what I'm sort of, what I'm sort of like landing on, and I think João Pedro can be a little bit, consistency-wise, it can be a struggle sometimes. On his day, excellent, but 2-2.
Okay.
I'm going 2-2. And the reason as well is because I'd have liked to have been a little bit more positive and thought, let's take Leeds game out of my mind. And let's say that it's a must-win, must-respond game. But we do struggle at Stamford Bridge, don't we? So that's the other side of it.
It's not a good place to travel.
No, it's not. It's not a happy hunting ground for us. But then at the same time, you can sort of see us sort of like, they score, we score, they score, we score sort of scenario. I can already visualize Casemiro scoring past him because he likes to score against Chelsea. I can already visualize Bruno, corner, Casemiro, big head. I can visualize that, but I can also visualize Palmer scoring or getting a penalty, João Pedro. So I'm going to stick with 2-2, people. But again, I don't know if anybody's watching still, but put your score predictions in as well before we go. But yeah,
sure thing.
I'm going 2-2.
I totally hear you on that. I mean, look, 3-2, 2-2, it's all similar ballpark. I'd probably have edged on the loss just because I feel like things have started to go wrong for us. The 50-50 calls have been going, look, hopefully not another red, Christ. But I do think a 2-2 would be brilliant, Dan. In answer to conclude on your score prediction, I'm not going to say snap your hand off because I support Man United and we should always go to win games. However, this time tomorrow, if we've put in a 2-2 shift, Champions League's probably locked up. We've got a healthy lead over Chelsea.
Yes.
And we've got no defence. Aiden Heaven, mate, get some good sleep tonight. And
definitely. We need you.
Absolutely. Boss it tomorrow, mate. You know what?
Yeah, we all need to put a performance in.
I'll tell you what, after tonight, I'm looking. Look, I always look forward to watching United, but I'm looking forward to seeing how we do. I think that's fair to say.
I'm looking forward to the reaction. I'm looking forward to the reaction. Yeah. Will they react after that dismal display? Can they react after that? They need to react. And again, the thing is, these lots, what is it? 20%, 25% increase in their salaries. This is on the line, lads. Your increase when you go into Champions League with your wages, and that idiot Anana will get a pay increase as well. But putting him to one side, this has got your 20-25% pay increase on the line, lads. Come on. And as SJG says here, Chelsea are going to bring it, but we are turning up and we're saying, and they're saying it's going to be a win, but are not prepared to put a score line on there because of the last prediction. If I can remember right there, it was 4-0.
Oh my God. I mean, it was Leeds at home, in fairness.
I mean, you would have expected us to do better than that, obviously.
I fucking certainly did. And tell you what, last one. Oh, here we go. It's 4-0.
Yeah, I didn't think David was about. He should have been on stream. But anyway, hopefully, David, I'll reach out to you. Definitely come on to the build-up show if you're available. But yeah, so we lose, lads. It's unfortunate that we're falling off a cliff again, I reckon. And I don't want you to be right, David, but sometimes you are. And
no, I totally hear where he's coming from. Look, oh, here we go. Yes, look, 4 points from 5 games, Dave. We spoke about it, didn't we, Dan? If we lose on Saturday, it will be the worst 5-game streak of the season, including Big Bad Ruben. So it does not make pretty reading, but we've not lost yet. And we can hopefully turn up and do something tomorrow. Dan, just the last thing for you. How important is that first 10 minutes tomorrow?
Oh, yeah. And again, that's another thing I've been thinking about because I'm casting my mind back to the Leeds game and how poor we were pretty much all that. Well, we were poor the whole game, but poor in that first half. And I just think I was expecting us to come out of the traps. We haven't played in such a long time. Come out the traps, high energy, put them to the sword, and we were shocking. And I think we need to just, I mean, it might sound reckless to go for it, but we've got to be really good in that first 10, 15 minutes because one thing I've been thinking about is their start against City and Cucurella's scoring. I know it was offside, but if that happens to us and we're on the back foot early doors, do we recover from that? So I think it's really, really important for us to start that game well tomorrow. How are you feeling about that? Because it's really important.
I totally agree. Hence why I thought I'd see what you thought. I think the thing you made there was a really good point. Is not only starting the game well, but being an offensive threat from minute one. Because against Leeds, not only were we just shit, Cunha, Bruno, Sesko, Ahmad were non-entities in that first half an hour. So we want Chelsea to be looking that way, not just pressing us into oblivion. So huge half an hour tomorrow, Dan. Let's see how we get on, mate. We got 3-0 in there.
Definitely. Yeah. So if there was a 3-0, then David will shave his head.
Oh wow,
and
Dave,
so that's going to go viral. That's going viral. That's United Strand levels.
Yeah. David, you can't have a haircut until Luis Enrique gets the job.
As SJG saying there, fuck the hair, David, let's go with a beard and shave. Imagine. Yeah, definitely. And
babyface Dave.
No chance. You've got to do it, David. You've got to do it.
If we win,
or shave the beard. Shave the beard if we finish third.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right then. So I think we've covered all the chats there. But yeah, thanks for people persevering with us and supporting us there. Yeah. And obviously, it's been and thank you, Alex, for joining the stream at this hour. Just a shame that we didn't have our American cousin from across the pond there joining us, but he's definitely on the show tomorrow. I don't know if you'll be able to make it yourself, Alex, but I'm going to be doing a build-up show, just a quick hour just before the game. Hopefully time it right so that the team news comes out as well. So if you're available, nice. David, if you're available, hopefully Dash said he'll definitely be on. And I might have an appearance from a family member as well that might just pop on as well. So amazing. Just have a good little chat. My cousin went to the game on Monday, so if he does join, I'll be asking him about that just to say what the atmosphere was like and stuff like that. Yeah. So that'll be interesting. I know that you were going to go to the game, but you didn't quite make it, did you? But I think you'd be glad that you didn't go now. After that horror show, absolute nightmare.
Man. No, thank you for having me tonight. I love it as always, chewing the fat with you. No. So yes, thank you for having me. And I'll let you know tomorrow if I can make it. Definitely.
Yeah, no problem. Idea, but yeah, just thought we'll just do a bit of a build-up show. Obviously, I'm not trying to rival United Stand because I know they do one, but definitely need to get out there and do things. And I think it'd be just good just to have a bit of a chat before the game, get a little bit excited about the game, maybe a little bit of an uplift before the game happens, before we just go downhill after a losing. But yeah, do a bit of a build up. Let's talk about the team news and what comes out at the time. And let's have a little bit of a chat. Got a bit of topics ready for that as well. So yes, if people can join, we'll have a good chat. But if you can't join, Alex, all good. I know you'll be in the chat anyway, so that'll be all good. So yes. Right then, I'm gonna let you go now because I know it's getting late. So again, thank everybody for watching Dan Talks United. Please look out for Alex on the Football Brotherhood. Got a good show there with his brother Christian, and that interesting dynamic as one brother's a Manchester United fan and one's a City fan. Love it, love the show, love watching the show myself. Thank you. So again, hit that subscribe button for Alex as well. Hit that subscribe button for myself. But as always, people, thank you for watching Dan Talks United. Please tune in tomorrow. It's going to be about, I think it was about 6:30, I said. So we've got enough time to have a bit of a chat before the game is live at 8. And then we'll be back on again after the game to chew the fat again, depending on what the result is. So hopefully it's not an emotional room and it's a happy room after the game. Celebratory room. Definitely celebrating. We've got the win and we're cementing that third position, hopefully. But anyway, we've got to be positive. So, as always, thanks everybody for your support. David in the chat there, SJ in the chat there, Christian as well earlier. And again, we'll see you tomorrow. See you later, people.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.